for me, like when I went there and the timer was on, you have to remember like the stage. I remember the first stage, I missed like 3 or 4 targets. Like I just didn't even shoot them because I was like, there's too many things to think about. You have to be on this X, and this X. And then you have to go from here to here to here. And each one, you can only see certain targets from each angle, each window. Yeah. So if you didn't stage plan, which I purposely didn't want to, it's a fucking mess. I recognize that, but you and me are different because you're like, okay, dude, I need to fucking burn this down. And when I seen that, I actually slowed down how fast I shoot when I shot with you guys that first time. Yeah. Because I was like, dude, there's a lot of planning that I'm not doing here. And also I wasn't really quite sure on some of the rules. Like just the second time was easy because I understood the rules. The second time, but the first time, like, maybe like I basically just had to absorb what the environment was like to like actually be able to push myself. But I had to I have to dial myself back being there, right? Sure. So let's say even if you go there a bunch of times, it's the most cost effective, hands down the most cost effective training I've ever done at Oakdale. It's like $10. And you do 5 stages of you do 5 stages.
You're doing different angles, memorizing, unloaded stuff.
Yeah, so you get a lot of reps.
You get a lot of reps
you get a lot of bang for your buck.
So basically, I was comparing that to like in my situation, right? Like growing up, I had 3 options. I could go to the forest, and go set up some targets and shoot, right, and pay that $10-15 in gas to get to the mountains, or I can pay the $10-15 at Oakdale and shoot 5 stages at a match. Going off of that, I would feel like I would learn a lot more and get better reps and get better at shooting, because there's dudes out there, not only like are you getting better reps, but you'll shoot a stage and 7 people will come up after that stage that are good at shooting and be like, hey man, you should step here instead of here. You should grip the gun maybe here. Try to reloading here instead of here. So like that's what I was comparing. Like I feel like you'd get more training going to a match than just going to the forest.
It's like when I used to play pool in high school, I know that I would have a table at my friend's house where we can just try shit and hone in on skills. Yep. But you have to go to the billiards because people are going to push you. They're going to push you. Yeah, exactly. Right. So my point in saying that is you have to be pushed, and peer pressure and competition is huge, whether you're at a course, whether you're at a competition like USPSA, which I do think is important. Because the second time I went, I was actually like, okay, dude, I'm actually going to fucking like try to like stage this thing. And like, I tried, you know what I mean? I tried and I wasn't pressured. I just felt good. It was fun. Like I had a great time doing it. But my point in saying all of this is that most of my shooting my first year, almost all of it, once I found an actual place that was consistent to shoot, was going to the hills, working on dry fire draws at home, and then going to the hills and applying like 1R1s, 2R2s, 3R3s, 1 reload, transition, 1. And then, you know, draw, transition, reload, transition, things like that. And when you learn any skill, whether it's weightlifting or billiards or anything, like the slow isolation for like the reps, that matters. That's huge. So like, I get your point of view on the whole USPSA thing, but I also think you have to think about you versus other people and how you pick up data and information and how you apply it versus like me. I had to take a step back my first USPSA. I totally was like, I don't care how I place. Like I'm obviously trying here.
It depends on what skill level you're at too, or what you're trying to get out of it too. Cause for me, I just started shooting, right? Yeah. And it was my first time shooting USPSA, and I didn't have like a specific goal other than having fun, right? Yeah. And learning. So that's what I didn't have like, oh, I'm trying to learn tactics, or I'm just trying to learn. I was just trying to learn how to be a better shooter. Yeah. And I did both. I went to my ranch, I shot, but when I guess it depends. If you're starting out and you don't have the fundamentals, right? Like you don't know how to reload, you don't know how to clear a jam, don't go to a match. Yeah.
But, I mean, but to your point, so he covered a little bit of this actually, whether, you know, knowingly or not, and that is you're a type of guy that can look at something like you gave the, like if you asked me to fix the motor on your car, I couldn't do it, but if I sat there and looked at it long enough, I could probably figure it out. But not everybody's like that. I mean, there's some problem solving, critical thinking skills there, and then there's also the learn by doing, the kinesthetic piece, you know, and also taking in or information processing of what you're seeing or seeing other people do, and also hearing what other people may be giving you. for a lot of people, to your point, JP, that is just too much information. I mean, I've been out on the range on like beginner days as an example. Yeah. You know, like I'll get invited out to like, hey, we're doing this fundamentals class, but we're going to be on the range. If you want to come out and shoot, come out and shoot. I mean, I was one of those people too. So I'm listening and watching people really struggle through like step one, stuff, right? Step two, step three. Even people that have been out there multiple times
are still having a hard time with the most simple,
the basic stuff. And then you throw a malfunction in there. You know, by the time they get to step three and there's 3 more steps, they lose their mind. They kind of shit the bed, right? It's like, wait, go back through the process. So to your point, JP, people learn differently, and I absolutely agree with you that there's a fundamentals there. Maybe in this case, I don't know. I'm not saying this is what it is or not. You had that somehow, right? You had it because you grew up around it. So there were a lot of things that you don't need to even think about. They're so natural for you right now. And you're so confident in doing it. I mean, you were doing it at 12 by yourself out with your friends.
You know? So that's what I would say is like skill level for sure. Like if you just got a gun, right? And you know how to load it, you know how to shoot it, but you don't know how to really reload or clear a malfunction, I wouldn't say go to a match. Yeah, that's not a great idea. I had the opportunity of like going out to my ranch a few times and shooting my gun and not necessarily even like doing 1R1s or like anything actual drills or with a timer or anything, just shooting it, feeling the recoil, and then like, oh, it goes empty, I have to do a reload. So you know how to reload, right? If you're at that level and you know how to reload, you know how to draw from a holster, and that's a cool thing, you don't even have to have a holster. You could draw from a barrel if you don't like, if you're new, right? And so just the aspect of getting out there, and obviously my first time, I was not worried about score. No time, no score. It was just the shooting aspect. So that's why I felt like I did progress slow in a competition aspect, but I also progressed fast in a shooting aspect. So yeah, I went out there first time, I was beat, and I was not worried about time. It was just, there's a target right there, just like my ranch, right? I'm shooting that target, now I'm shooting that target, now I'm shooting that target. Okay, there's rules here, 180. Okay, watch the 180. Shoot, you know what I mean? It was just walking, no running, no rushing. And I feel like after like a month or 2 of that, like you don't want to go right into it, how JP was saying, there's just so much. Like you don't go into it worried about time or score or like
good advice.
Shooting as fast as me. Like he's seen me shoot and he's like, oh, I want to shoot that fast. And like that's what people do when I take them out there, and that's not the point. That's not what I did. I started out, okay, I'm getting all alphas. Like tell yourself, like, I'm going to get bullseyes. Boom, 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 right? Then do that a month, 2 months, 3 months, right? You shot 5 competitions at that pace. You do what your sights tell you to do, and your sights are telling you you're going too slow, right? You'll be shooting that slow and be like, bang, why am I still waiting here? Like my sights have been there. Then you start shooting faster, and then you're like, okay, well, I can get through this course. So yeah, definitely first couple matches, the rules, like you can't rush yourself because the 180, you're not used to the 180. You're not used to trying to run backwards with your gun over here or trying to reload over here, not breaking the 180. Yeah, that's a lot to do, but I feel like shoot slow, 5 months. If you want to get into competition, shoot super slow and get in the groove of like not breaking the 180, the rules and everything. And once that's
muzzle direction,
that is muscle memory, then you can push speed. And I feel like you learn from there a lot. But for me, like you said, my first couple times, like I understood the rules. I watched it. Okay. 3-4 competitions in, it just made sense to me. Oh, okay. That's common sense. That's obvious. Boom. But if it's your first match, definitely it's a lot to look at. You don't want to think of it like a competition. You just want to take it easy, get all your hits.
Skill acquisition.
Learn, yeah, exactly. Learn everything first.